Welcome back to Celeb Splash, where we delve into the hidden layers of your favorite movies. Today, we're unraveling the intricate web of Russian influence in John Wick Chapter 4. From the adrenaline-pumping action sequences to the enigmatic characters, the Russian touch is undeniable. Let's break it down. First up, the characters. The Russian mafia has a significant presence in the John Wick universe. Analyzing the roles of characters like mentioned characters, we see how they add depth and intrigue to the storyline. Whether it's the cunning power plays or the alliances formed, the Russian characters contribute to the complexity of John Wick's world. Now, let's talk about the cinematic influences. The film pays homage to Russian cinema, incorporating elements from iconic Russian directors like. This adds a unique flavor to the visual narrative. Notice how certain scenes echo the aesthetics of Russian cinema, creating a visual tapestry that goes beyond the typical action genre. Moving on to the filming locations, John Wick Chapter 4 takes us on a journey through stunning landscapes and gritty urban settings. Many of these locations have ties to Russian culture, subtly reinforcing the influence. Exploring the behind-the-scenes footage, we discover the meticulous effort put into selecting locations that enhance the film's Russian undertones. Lastly, let's delve into the cultural references. From the language spoken to the subtle nods in set design, the film incorporates various aspects of Russian culture, providing an immersive experience for the audience. As we explore the Russian characters in John Wick Chapter 4, it's fascinating to see how they bring a sense of history and tradition to the story. Characters like mentioned characters are not just typical villains. They embody the essence of Russian crime culture, with complex motivations and allegiances that add an extra layer of intrigue to the narrative. The dialogues, mannerisms, and even the wardrobe choices of these characters reflect a meticulous attention to detail in capturing the essence of Russian influence. Delving deeper into the cinematic influences, we find that the mentioned director, deliberately drew inspiration from the Russian cinematic giants such as mentioned directors. Scenes in John Wick Chapter 4 often pay homage to the visual storytelling techniques and thematic elements found in classic Russian films. This not only adds a level of sophistication to the action genre, but also provides cinephiles with a subtle nod to the rich history of Russian cinema. Examining the filming locations reveals the intentional choice of settings that resonate with Russian culture. From the grandeur of St. Petersburg to the gritty urban landscapes reminiscent of Moscow, the filmmakers strategically used these locations to immerse the audience in a world where Russian influence is palpable. The decision to shoot in these places wasn't just for aesthetic purposes, but was a conscious effort to weave the Russian essence into the fabric of the film. When it comes to cultural references, the film subtly integrates aspects of Russian culture throughout the narrative. Pay close attention to the use of Russian language in specific scenes, the incorporation of traditional symbols, and the meticulous set design that includes subtle nods to Russian art and architecture. These elements not only serve as Easter eggs for astute viewers, but also enhance the overall authenticity of the movie's world building. To truly grasp the Russian influence in John Wick Chapter 4, it's crucial to understand the historical context of Russian organized crime. The film draws inspiration from the intricate world of Russian syndicates, known for their elaborate hierarchies, codes of conduct, and global reach. This influence is not merely cinematic. It mirrors the real-world complexities of Russian organized crime networks. Russian organized crime, often associated with terms like mafia or bratva, has a rich and complex history. The film captures the essence of this history, portraying criminal enterprises that have roots in the tumultuous periods of post-Soviet Russia. The interconnected relationships and power struggles within these organizations become a backdrop for John Wick's relentless pursuit of justice. Characters are shaped by this historical context, reflecting the blurred lines between loyalty, survival, and ambition that define Russian organized crime. Their actions and motivations are a reflection of a world where alliances are forged and broken with calculated precision, creating a web of intrigue that keeps audiences on the edge of their seats. As we unravel the layers of Russian influence, we begin to see how the historical context of organized crime shapes the dynamics of the John Wick narrative. It's not just about action for the sake of action. It's about the consequences of navigating a world where every decision carries weight and where loyalties can be a double-edged sword. The visual style of John Wick Chapter 4 is a visual feast that immerses the audience in a world where every frame tells a story. From the slick neon-lit streets to the opulent interiors, the film's aesthetic borrows heavily from Russian visual motifs. The use of deep, contrasting colors, reminiscent of Russian constructivism, and the incorporation of iconic Russian architecture contribute to a cinematic experience that is as visually stimulating as it is narratively compelling. In specific scenes, pay attention to the visual cues that nod towards Russian art and design. Whether it's the choice of props, the framing of shots, or the incorporation of Cyrillic script in the background, these details serve as visual Easter eggs, enriching the overall tapestry of the movie. Now, let's explore the auditory dimension of Russian influence, the film's soundtrack. The music in John Wick Chapter 4 is carefully curated to evoke the spirit of Russian culture. The use of traditional Russian instruments, such as the balalaika and accordion, creates a sonic landscape that transports us into the heart of Eastern Europe. Listen closely during pivotal moments, and you'll notice how the soundtrack becomes an integral part of the storytelling, enhancing the emotional impact of each scene. The soundtrack not only complements the action, but also reflects the emotional nuances of the characters. It's a subtle yet powerful element that adds depth to the film's immersive experience. And remember, a well-crafted soundtrack is often an unsung hero in storytelling. Let's delve into the portrayal of Russian characters in John Wick Chapter 4. What's remarkable is the filmmaker's commitment to avoiding stereotypes. Instead of presenting one-dimensional villains, we get characters with depth, individuality, and conflicting motivations. This nuanced approach humanizes the Russian characters, making them more than just adversaries for John Wick. It's a testament to the filmmaker's dedication to authenticity and storytelling integrity. The character development goes beyond the action sequences, giving us glimpses into the personal struggles and allegiances of the Russian players. This approach not only enriches the overall narrative, but also challenges the traditional tropes associated with Russian characters in action films. One of the standout features of the John Wick series is its revolutionary approach to action choreography. Spearheaded by stuntman turned director Chad Stahelski, the film introduces a fresh and groundbreaking style. Kung-fu combat, combining martial arts with gunplay, is a signature element. This dynamic choreography not only sets the series apart, but has also influenced numerous action films that followed. Breaking down the fight sequences reveals a meticulous attention to detail. From the precise gun handling to the seamless transitions between hand-to-hand combat and firearm exchanges, every move is a carefully orchestrated dance. The commitment to practical effects and minimal use of CGI enhances the realism, creating an immersive experience for the audience. As we follow John Wick's journey across the films, we witness a remarkable evolution of the character. Starting as a retired hitman seeking vengeance, John's story unfolds with layers of complexity.